Welcome to the House of Cards podcast. My name is Jessica. I am a spiritualist, tarot reader, and intuitive artist, alongside my co host Sasha, who is also a practicing tarot reader. He's been working in the esoteric space and online for over 6 years. We are hosting magical conversations with practitioners from all over the world to try and understand the universe from every angle. Thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And let's get into today's magical conversation.
Okay, welcome to the House of Cards podcast. Here we talk about all things spiritual, esoteric, and of course, tarot cards. We would like to thank our sponsor, Silver Moon Tarot, for helping us put the show together. Now let's get into the show. Today we have who's an amazing tarot reader, and welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. And if you'd like to tell us a tiny little bit about yourself, just to start off, and then we can get into the interview.
Yeah, so my name's Samantha. I'm a psychic medium. I also read tarot, and apart from that, I read the Akashic. Yes, and I'm also a coach. So I teach people how to connect to their intuition and develop their psychic mediumship abilities. I believe everyone's psychic.
Cool. And you have a cat.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. So let's just jump straight in. Is there like a sort of moment that you first knew that you were intuitive or psychic, or well, you say everyone can be psychic. So is there a moment that you first accessed that? Because I was going to say different, but you think that everyone can be psychic. So I was just like is there a moment that you realized that you were psychic or that you had this intuition?
Well, I think I'd always been quite intuitive and never really crossed my mind, but I think it was probably only about 3 and a bit years ago that I was told by a psychic that I'm actually quite psychic. I never thought that. I thought intuition is like being psychic were two different things. Like psychic is like wow words, but intuition and being psychic is really the same thing. Yeah, so I never really thought of myself as psychic, probably until like maybe pretty like 3 years ago, I would say. Yeah, so it's fairly recent, but I would always have a gut feel about things randomly. But I'm like, ever since I could remember. But yeah, I never thought it was anything special.
Okay, and then it sort of developed over time. So with intuition, one of the tools we learn with is in fact tarot. Was there a first experience that you had with the cards specifically?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I think I picked up tarot a little over 3 years ago. I was going through a really difficult period in my life, and I was actually going through marital separation, and then I started getting a bit curious about this esoteric stuff, and then I thought I'd pick up a deck of tarot cards, and I taught myself how to read it, and I actually had fun with it. So it was a good distraction coming home after work, just playing having a play around. And then I would go on Instagram and just say to my friends, hey, I'm going to be doing practice readings. Just pop your name down if you've got a question. So I think I had a list of over 20, 30 people. I mean, like,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
So, I
awesome.
mean, if you're giving out free, yeah, if you're
Yeah.
giving out free reads, everyone's like, me. So,
Yeah.
and I think I had fun with it, and people were saying that definitely resonates. Or, oh my god, this actually happened. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. Okay, so I thought maybe I'm just intuitive, just like I thought everyone has intuition, so it was just playing around with it. So that was actually the door opener. Tarot was the door opener to me actually, getting into the Akashic Records and mediumship as well. So yeah, it definitely opened doors for me.
That's super interesting. Hey, it's amazing how they can sometimes just prove themselves to you. The cards, has that ever happened to you? It's like a moment, and it just, as you say, like something will just like a prediction or something will just come true, and you're like, wow, actually, I didn't even. The cards are really amazing like that. Do you have a wildest experience with cards? Like any sort of weird, wild, wacky, any sort of experience that stands out that's like sort of thing or anything like that? Any kind of specific experience that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so I think one that blows me away, I think in my earlier days was when I did a reading for a friend's brother, and I picked up that unfortunately, I picked up the relationship's not going to last. But I said there's going to be another woman coming forward, and he's going to marry her. And I was able to see this woman in my mind's eye, and she even looked like, because I've got this particular tarot deck, Tarot of the Divine, and
Oh,
she looked
wow.
pretty similar to the woman in that. Yeah, so she
Really?
looked so not on the cover, but the card,
Yeah,
she looked
yeah.
quite similar to this woman. This is what she's like, and I described her, and then later she said, yep, they've broken up. But 6 months later, he met this woman, and she just ticked all these boxes, and then they
Wow.
got married like not long after. And I think I'm not sure.
Amazing.
I'm not sure if they.
Happy
Yeah, but that
endings.
blew me away. I was like, wow. Yeah,
Crazy, hey?
yeah.
So would you go as far as saying the Tarot of the Divine that you shared with us, is that your favorite deck? And do you have a favorite card or something that reoccurs for you often?
Definitely. It's definitely my favorite deck. I quite like using it to read for others. I do have another tarot deck, but this one just calls to me. And this was the one I actually learned how to read tarot cards from, not I know the Rider-Waite one
Yeah.
is quite popular, but for some reason I never gelled entirely with it. I quite like this because it's got different cultural representations, different myths in there. My
That's
favorite card
beautiful.
is probably the High Priestess. Yeah.
Didn't you pull that this morning, Jess? Like
I did actually. Sam and I were perfect
Yeah,
before
yeah,
we
that's
online, and she jumped right out. It wasn't even like a pull. She was
the
just
high
stating.
priestess energy is amongst us today. Bless us, bless us. So, are there any
Thank
like,
you so
I mean, leading on from that, are there any intense sort of like spiritual experiences that you would want to talk about, or is there any sort of intensely spiritual? Is there any kind of spiritual experience that you could share with us? Sorry about that. That you could share with us, at all?
Yeah, so I think my earliest memory was probably when I was a little girl. I've had some interesting experiences as a kid, but I remember for years I would hear a lady call Samantha, Samantha, and it sounded exactly like my mum. I'd run downstairs and my mum wasn't there. She'd be like, I'm going to the supermarket, but she wasn't there. And then for years I sort of gaslit myself into thinking, no, I'm making things up because I would hear random voices and that. Yeah. And then I had a teddy bear that went missing as well. So went missing under the bed. I remember I thought maybe it was stuck on the side, but it just disappeared to a vortex. I was like, that's really weird. So I've had some weird things, even seeing a lady in my mirror as a 10-year-old. It's pretty scary.
That's terrifying. That is terrifying. I know
Yeah.
about the vortex thing though. Like I often find things just disappear into a vortex. Like it's crazy. Especially, I have this theory that there's these
Wow.
pixies who like who like mischievously like misplace things for us and try to get in our way sometimes. Like these little pixies that they can help us, but they can also get in our way. Anyway, that's
The
mine.
good friends. Yes. They'll get you if you aren't careful.
But that's really interesting, and that must be quite scary about seeing a person in the mirror. That must be terrifying.
Yeah, so I thought, I was quite scared. I thought it was Bloody Mary because I think, back in the day in school, they're like, oh, Bloody Mary rocks up in the mirror at midnight. And then many years later, when I learned to read the Akashic Records, I found out that was actually me in a past life. So I scared me. So it was nothing really
That's
scary.
Yes.
Do you want to, so like, I mean, you talk about the records. I find that so fascinating. Like, do you want to tell us a
Yeah.
bit more about the records for people who don't know about it, or?
And how you got guided to them specifically, because in a way we all do have like something that finds and resonates with us the strongest. So you could like weave that together. That would be lovely.
Yeah, so the Akashic Records are the summary. It's like an energetic library. It's not physical, so you could say it's in the cloud. You know how Apple has things in the cloud, so can look at past lives, future possibilities, soul's purpose, life gifts. And you need permission to enter them before. So it's just like coming into someone's house. Like you don't just rock up to someone's house and walk in, like that's trespassing. So it's essentially the same thing. So you need that permission. So for instance, if I was to access either the Akashic Records, I would need your consent, and then I would say a little prayer, and then it'll open up. So I actually got into it. I think I've always been fascinated with history ever since I was a little kid. I've just always loved it, and that was probably my best subject in school. I know people
Mm.
I think a lot of kids found it boring, but I just loved it. And I think that's why I was drawn to the Akashic Records about past lives and that. And then I
Yeah.
remember I saw this lady offering it on Instagram, and then I had a really good feeling. So I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to access it, but let's give it a try. And I was quite surprised that I was able to access it really quickly. So I would get one word answers come through, because you start off with like simple, simple questions, one word answers, and it expands on, which is the same as, learning how to read um tarot. And that's how
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
that's when I realized I had clairvoyance, where I could see things in
Wow.
my mind. I never thought I was clairvoyant, because initially I could only get clairvoyance come through when I was in the Akashic Records. Now I don't need to go into Akashic
Wow.
Records to access my clairvoyance, but yeah, it does
Amazing.
heighten. So
That's so
yeah,
interesting.
but yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. But I think it's my interest in history that's probably sparked it, actually. So I feel like if you have a genuine interest leaning towards something, you're more likely to be yeah, I think you're more likely to want to delve a little more into it. So I think that's the case with me.
That's so interesting. Do you do guided meditations or anything like that? Because I've done one Akashic mesh, only in my life, one Akashic record meditation. It was like a guided meditation. I found it super interesting. And like I was wondering, do you do guided meditations, or do you generally like meditate to get there, or how do you sort of get there?
For me, I can't do an Akashic Records meditation. I've fallen asleep, I'm not going to lie. But but I do say a little. So I think for me, it's just once I say the prayer, I suddenly get a feeling of the person's energy, the vibes, and that. So it's interesting. Whenever I open the Akashic Records of healers, like it's interesting. Just the energy is very vibrant. You get a real
Wow.
feel of the person's energy.
That's
Yeah,
so
and
interesting,
some
man.
of the Akashic, yeah, it's the energy that comes through. And some of them you're like, oh, this feels really nice. I don't want to get out. I just want to stay in your little library. This feels like really nice energy.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't,
Wow. That's so interesting to me. I find that so interesting. The message I got when I went was keep trying. That was the only
keep
message I got, was keep trying. So,
trying.
And have you kept trying?
well, here we are. I haven't given up, I can tell you that. Um,
So
so
with
what's the
Keep
yeah, go
going.
ahead, Jess. No, go ahead, Jess.
oh, that's exactly where I was going.
So, is there any hardest reading that you've ever done? Like, is there any difficult readings that you've had to do?
Difficult readings. I mean, can't exactly put my finger on one. It just, I suppose it really depends. Sometimes you just don't know how the client's going to take it. Sometimes they can be a bit closed off. I remember I did one, I think over a month or two ago for this man, and I couldn't read his expression. I thought, oh my God, maybe I'm not getting it correct. I don't know. And then, but I was surprised he came back to me for another reading a week later, because he had some other questions he wanted to ask. I was like, oh, okay. So that was a nice surprise. I just could not read him at all. I was like, maybe I'm getting the reading wrong. So that's what I
Yeah.
thought. So yeah, I think, yeah, there were two men. I just could not read them. But then they came back to me for a second read. I was like, okay, I must have done something. I must have said something right for it to click. Yeah. Yeah. But it's,
Yeah.
I think for me, it's more, I suppose it's human nature. You're like, I don't know if I'm doing a good job. Like, looking at the
Yeah.
expression.
Oh, yeah, I
expression.
totally get
Yeah.
that all the time. Get that all
Yeah.
the time. But that's, yeah, so that's interesting, Jess.
Yeah. And I'm gonna jump forward a little bit to lead, and then we can go backwards, because that goes nicely into asking you if you think there are any, or what misconceptions people have about tarot, and how that could come through in a reading. Because sometimes people are very skeptical coming in. They've just maybe haven't found what they're looking for anywhere else, and it's then a journey and part of their journey as well. But it all starts sometimes with perceptions and misconceptions.
Yeah. So I think it's probably particular. I mean, it probably comes down to things like religion. Like, I live here in Malaysia, which is a predominantly Muslim country, and they would be. We were at the graveyard the other day. That's another can of worms to open. But my
Definitely
dear
ask
Sonia,
about
she
that.
got it. Dear friend Sonia, she brought a tarot cards, and she brought it out, and there was this guy who was driving up and down, and I think he was probably of Muslim faith. Just looking at him typically, yeah, I think he must have been Muslim faith, because he was just eyeing us up and down, and he was looking at the cards, and I think in certain religions they see it as like evil, and I think certain cards, such as the death card, the tower, when you see those cards, people freak out like the death card, like, oh my God, am I going to die? It's like, no, you're not going to die.
Also
If
the
anything,
devil
it's
as
probably one of
well.
my favorite cards because it just makes,
Yeah.
yes, the devil, that's right. Yeah. But you could be your own worst enemy, to be honest. It's like, at the end of the day, it all comes down to you. When, when
No,
you're
no, no,
reading
I
these
know.
cards, you realize
I'm
you're,
just saying that's the other
yeah,
card that freaks people out. I was just saying that's the other card that like people
yeah,
get scared of because there's a card that says the devil.
yeah,
But carry on, yeah, go on. I'm hearing, yeah, I'm interested in
yeah.
what you
Oh,
said.
yeah, no. Oh no, definitely. Yeah, the devil, I think people get freaked out by. They're like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah,
And the death card, too. Like, you're not gonna die, the devil's not gonna follow you. So it's not
yeah,
literal.
yeah,
Tarot's a bit dramatic, I have to admit
yeah,
though. So
Yes.
exactly. That is very interesting, and you're right. It's all that old-fashioned like perspective on it that like it's the religious dogma that it's like it's that anti-fortune telling. I think at a certain point they were very against fortune tellers like gypsies. Like I don't know, there was like a whole thing about it. Like, and I think that the tarot got lumped in with them and got a bad name, as did they probably, like the gypsies, But at that time, prejudice was obviously like rife, and like we're dealing with the consequences of that now. But yeah, no, you're right. It is that like sort of old school religious the aspect that really people struggle with sometimes. But that's very interesting. And so like, do you think that AI and tarot like have a place together? Like, what do you think about that as a concept and as the future sort of moving from the past perspective to a more future facing question to you?
yeah, I mean, I definitely think it goes hand in hand together. I think I mean, personally, I love AI because it helps me as a business owner. But but if
Absolutely.
anything, I don't think it discounts the work of spiritual healers. The work we do. It definitely doesn't discount it. If anything, it's more complementary because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the great news is that AI can't take our jobs. If anything, it probably just makes it easier for people to pick up things such as learning the meaning of tarot, for example, in a more
Yeah.
summarized,
Yeah.
easier version. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's overtaking all that. If anything, it's just sort of maybe enhancing it.
Yeah. That's definitely how I completely agree with you there. I think it's such a powerful tool for enhancement, but at the end of the day, you can't emulate the human connection. Like, there's just something about our empathy and our ability to like just the machine can't do what we can do. Like, and it's a long way from doing it. So I think it's, as you said, it's an amazing tool to enhance. That's super interesting. I agree with you there.
Well, with the really wonderful interconnected world that we live in, and exactly as a business owner, it is also a business, a spiritual business is still a business. How do you feel about money and spirituality in that exchange?
Yeah, so I feel it's definitely an energetic exchange. It definitely is. You do feel it. I remember when I first started doing reads, and I think everyone as well felt a bit weird charging people. But I remember when I had my first clients and I got the money, I felt, oh, this feels equal. Okay, that's great. And then I remember when I was just doing so-called practice readings, I remember I felt drained after one or two reads, and that's when I knew I need to start charging people and no more free readings enough because you do feel the energetic drain. So, for example, if you're going to be doing a reading for a friend, they should be shouting you a meal. And that's what a
Yeah.
friend told me as well. It's an energy change. You've done a reading for me. Let me take you out for lunch. Let
Nice.
me
Yeah,
do
that's
this. Like,
cool.
okay, right. Yeah. And even with, because, and as you get more experienced, you can afford to raise your prices. And in fact, you should, because you will be feeling more of the energetic drain. And it does, and this is going to sound really woo-woo, but it does raise your vibrations as well because it is knowing your worth because you attract what you believe, and that's definitely happened to me. So each time I've raised my prices, I've been attracting more aligned clients, people who respect what I do, no questions, and you do want clients who respect your art as well. I mean, a lot of energy goes in, and your readings actually do get better when you raise your prices. That's what I found as
Yes.
well. So it's really interesting.
Absolutely brilliant. I couldn't agree
Raised
more
your
with
own bar. Yeah.
everything you said there. Yeah, no, it's very true. Very true. It really is an energetic exchange. Like we all know as tarot readers, it's work. It's exhausting afterwards. You like if you sit for an hour and read someone's tarot cards, like you really do feel like exhausted afterwards. And it's completely, as you said, like it's a very valid service. It's a very valid energy exchange. And yeah, so I completely agree with that. That's really interesting. So we're gonna go into we're gonna tie it back into the sort of so we have a question here. So because our podcast is called House of Cards, we have a tricky question, which is what belief structure in your life has collapsed at any point, like a house of cards? Has that ever happened to you?
What belief structure? I think, oh, that's a really good question. Probably had quite a few in life. I think especially coming into this work, I think that nothing is fixed or definite. It probably comes down to that. And definitely, I think like there are some things that are just not meant to make sense. It does make sense
Yes.
later, but not immediately as well. Yeah, like
Like
for me, definitely, I
10-year-old
think that
you
would be it.
seeing yourself in the mirror. It doesn't make sense at the time.
Yeah, definitely that.
And then so like
Mhm.
yeah,
What did help you rebuild from that? I mean, I know we've gone through it as a theme throughout the conversation, but specifically, is there like a
Yes, definitely. I think it definitely helped me trust my intuition. That's actually why I learned to read tarot. I just learned to read it for fun, to trust my intuition. I went through a marital breakdown and there was so many, I won't go into details of the marriage, but there was so many red flags I overlooked. I had dreams. I had dreams about what was going to happen as well, and I chose to ignore them. And it was just more about trusting myself and trusting my intuition. That's why I thought I'm going to learn to read tarot to trust myself again. And reading for people, I found it fun. I was like, wow, okay, I've actually got a knack for this. Okay, yeah. So that's what it taught me: trusting my intuition. I think believing in myself. Yeah, and it was a new hobby. It became a new hobby, which ended up becoming my career. So, which not many people can say.
yeah, absolutely amazing. And then so this is the last sort of question. And then so is what illusion do you think most people live in?
Illusion. I don't think they believe in themselves as much. I feel like people really sorry, I'm trying to think of the phrase. It's just left me. I think people underestimate themselves. Yeah, that's the word. They really
Yeah.
underestimate themselves and what they're capable of. I think when you believe in yourself, you'd be surprised at how far you can go. And I feel like I'm definitely a living example of that. I've really underestimated myself for a very long time. And I think if you told me 3 years ago I would be doing this for a living, like teaching, talking to dead people, reading tarot, accessing past lives and teaching people how to do it, I'd be like, no way, that's not happening. But yeah, anything's possible.
Amazing. What a journey here. What a interesting journey. And like, so we just want to give, so we're kind of reaching towards the end of the interview. This is like now your space to promote anything you want to promote, to talk about anything you want to talk about, and the floor is yours.
So I do offer psychic mediumship readings if you want me to connect to loved ones and spirits, or if you just want to talk about career, love, your life's purpose, look into your past lives where I can access your Akashic Records. And I do offer psychic mediumship coaching. So I offer one-on-one. So it's tailored to your needs. So I do offer one-off sessions and 6 sessions. Yeah, so I've had beginners, people who just didn't know where to start, where to look. You'll learn the basics such as energy protection, which is massive. That's really huge. And I
Yeah.
think trusting your intuition. Yeah, that's actually my favorite part. I love coaching people, seeing people uncover their psychic gifts. I've got one student and she's amazing. She's been able to do mediumship and she's got a knack for it. She could connect people. And just recently she just unlocked a clairvoyance. She was able to see a little girl with curly blonde hair for another sister she'd never met. And she was able to get all these things in detail. And she said that was my cousin who passed away at only 2 years old. So it was just amazing. I was like, did you hear the language you were using? You weren't saying, I know, you were saying, I see. So that's obviously your clairvoyance coming through. Yeah. So that's actually what I
Wow.
love, seeing people unlock what they're capable of. And she never thought she'd be able to do that, but actually really good. Yeah. She's been doing this for, I think, just about 3 months. So she signed up for another round of coaching with me. And yeah, she's just really every week it's just amazing. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't need to make sense, just keep saying it. And yeah. So yeah, that's actually what I offer as well. Yeah.
So interesting. Wow. I'm sure people can get like that sounds something like that sounds like something I want to do. I'm gonna give you a call after the interview.
Sign
No,
us
that's
all
that
up.
sounds really interesting.
But yeah, no, Sam, just thank you. And I think that is a beautiful testament to what happens when you really align yourselves with the right people and just taking a chance on trusting yourself and your intuition. So I just want to say thank you for like trusting us and being part of this conversation. But a backstory is I found Sam on Instagram. She went viral with one of her videos, and that was exactly it. I reached out and we got in touch, and it's just been like a
Fantastic. This is so
phenomenal
cool.
blossoming friendship. And then following Sam and just also Samantha and your adventures, I must say I enjoyed when you visited the graveyard recently, because I feel like that experience kind of ties together a lot about what you do and what you've learned when you're dealing with past lives, talking to dead people, and then you're going in with the crew, a trusted tarot reader who you have a good relationship with. Like how was that experience for
Yeah.
you?
Wow.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. So two friends, they said we were because we'd seen all these reels, people going to graveyards, picking up on things, and they said, "Oh my God, we should do this." And 6 months later, we did it. So it took 6 months. So I reached out
Yeah.
to Sonia, who's also known as yeah. So I said, "Do you want to come?" And she goes, "Yes." And she was all organized. She checked in with AI on what to do to make sure to protect ourselves, the car, make sure we're all set
Amazing.
up and proper, saying our respects. I was like, wow, I'm so glad. So she practices
Yeah.
shamanism. So I was like, okay, great. I'm glad I brought her. The other two are very intuitive. One's a Reiki healer and he does Reiki, teaches yoga, and does sound baths. And my other friend, he's just very intuitive as well. So it's just like a bunch of us intuitives.
Goodness,
So we
nice.
went. Yeah, so when we went, it was interesting. It wasn't anything creepy or eerie. I mean, I've always liked graveyards. I always felt they were quite peaceful. I know some people get freaked out, but I've always felt
I
they're
think very
peaceful. There
intuitive
was
people
one part
do.
that felt yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember I went to one in Scotland and I just loved that. It was just beautiful. People having a picnic. I'm like, this is so nice. So yeah,
Okay, wow.
same here. Well, except here, I think in Asia, I don't think you'd be seeing in Southeast Asia. Definitely, you wouldn't see people having picnics in graveyards. I know in the UK you would see that, but not here in Asia. They get freaked out by that sort of stuff. So when we went, there were certain parts that felt really peaceful, really calm, and you could tell they were at peace. And there were some parts where so, so during World War II, Malaysia was occupied by the Japanese, and a lot of them, they were quite cruel.
Yeah.
They were instantly shot for over the tiniest things. Even my great uncles, on my dad's side, so my dad's Malaysian, mum's from New Zealand, and my dad told me that his father saw his own uncles being executed by the Japanese. So you can imagine the cruelties in
Wow.
there. So a lot
Sure.
of them,
Sorry about
so
that. That's brutal.
very, yeah,
Yeah, go
no,
on.
it's fine. Yeah, so and they had these, so Sonia, she was saying, we saw these tiny little graves. You know how with graves they actually make it all nice and pretty, put out the person's name. They might have a photo there, but these were just
Mm,
some of them were little
yeah.
brick-sized graves with no names or anything. These were quick burials, so that was during the occupation. And I remember there was one particular grave I was just looking at, I felt the energy there, and I said, I feel like I want to cry, and I know that's not me. I was like, something tragic happened, and these random words came to me that this wasn't supposed to happen. This happened too quickly. Like his life was robbed of him. So yeah, it could have even possibly been someone who came over to Malaysia for a better life from China, because there are a lot of Chinese settlers that came over. So you've got a pretty significant Chinese and Indian population here in Malaysia. Yeah, so it could have been one of those. But yeah, I just felt it was a young man under that brick. So yeah, I was very, very young. Yeah, so crying. So yeah, it was just interesting. Yeah, so it's just interesting. Different parts of it were interesting. There was one tree where we felt quite safe around it, but when we moved away from the tree, we're like, whoa, the vibes changed. So we're all picking. I was like, can you all feel that? So we're all just walking around with our hands out, like, what is this? Yes, but it's interesting. We all picked up on the
Trust
same
the trees,
energies.
though.
So yeah,
Trust the trees.
That's really
trust the
interesting.
trees.
This
Yeah, definitely.
there must be such a interesting mix of energies at a graveyard. Like you're saying, like some people don't want to die, and some people have lived peaceful lives and like accept it, and all of that energy, like the spiritual energy combined at a graveyard, must be highly charged. Wow, that's super intense, and that you could pick up on that person. It's really quite deep, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah. There was one part of the graveyard I remember there were like little daisies, flowers growing, you could see, and there were butterflies around there, and you could just feel the peace. And you could see a lot of the people in their older age. You could see those and proper graves. And then on the other side, which was where those tiny little graves were, you didn't see flowers. I mean, there was grass in there, but it just didn't look as like wow as the other one. And you on our left hand side. Yeah, so you know how energy does affect, it can affect the growth of things in there. So that was just literally living proof. One side you got daisies, flowers, butterflies. The other side, like it's sort of sparse grass. Yeah, so that was just really interesting,
Or
like
That is
visually now that I'm
interesting.
thinking about. Yeah.
Okay, it's super interesting. I mean, yeah, it's similar to that, I guess. That thing with the water, if you're loving and say nice things to the water, then the crystal structure in the water is beautiful. And not that people would be putting bad vibes towards those graves, but it's like it feels like those if the graves were just rushed and it's like mass graves, there's less less respectful energy put into the earth and into the whole the ceremony of it. That, as you say, it's more sparse and stuff, and it's just super interesting. Like death is such an unknown thing that like I just find it fascinating. We could talk about it for hours, but
Get to come back.
so that I mean that's super cool that you guys like it's like an esoteric crew. You guys are like the X-Men, but like the spiritual X-Men
Yeah.
going to the graveyards and like it's
That's
cool.
friendship goals, yeah. Like if if you aren't along for that ride, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, that's super
Exactly.
cool.
Are you vibing? Well, Samantha is available on the Silver Moon. She's got a selection of services available. She's got a website. We're going to plug that in as well. And we really hope that you're going to follow along to Sasha's morning alarm. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
For our voice.
No,
I'm
that's
before the alarm today, so
yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
Thanks
This
so
has
much.
been so
Yeah,
much fun.
this has been super fun. I'm just gonna bring up Samantha's profile on Silver Moon here quickly so everyone can see it. Just before we go, and then we'll sort of end off here.
Yeah, and it's if anyone's feeling inspired and has some cards, that's always a fun way to
Yes, we
wrap
could all
up the
draw.
day.
We could all draw one
Probably.
card. We could draw one card for each other if you guys want.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, lovely. Well, I'm not forgetting our priestess's presence, so let's.
Right, here we go. I'm just gonna share as well. Just sharing my screen here just so it's gonna work, but hopefully it does. And then everyone can see Samantha's profile. So this is where you can get Samantha. This is her profile, and you can connect with her on here. You can call her, you can video call, you can chat her, you can quick message, you can buy session packs here with her. She's going to be setting up some subscription stuff, some services. So yeah, check it out. Silvermoon, hellosilvermoon.com. Samantha is amazing, really amazing tarot reader and intuitive psychic. And yeah, we're really, really grateful that she's part of the team, part of the service. And if you like her vibe, then we know where to find her. Silvermoon, hellosilvermoon.com.
Ooh, I got a politics.
Politics.
That's politics. Oh.
Is it?
And maybe sometimes the internal that we go through to find that trust and that intuition. What do we
Oh.
break through?
Oh, got
Okay,
this
let's
cat-
all
this
hold up.
book there.
What's that one? What's your one say?
Oh, sorry. what's it? 9 of Cups. That's the next one.
We got the 9 of Cups. Yeah, love the 9 of Cups. Ace of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, and politics. Okay, so this is like diplomacy, peace, opportunity. 7 of Swords. Okay. Well,
But it's
What's
good, not
with the
without a
swords?
fight, right? That's how we get to
Yeah.
making our wishes, guys. We got to go through to
that's it. That's it.
go
We gotta
through to
go.
come out on the other side to make a wish.
Yeah,
Believe in
well,
yourself.
exactly.
Hey,
What an
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely.
This is 9 of Cups. So it's Ace of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, 7 of Swords. Like, what would that mean? That would mean opportunities, wish fulfillment, and just be aware. Have your eyes open.
Yeah.
Don't be naive.
Don't let yourself deceive yourself.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah, and celebrate.
definitely. Don't let yourself deceive
Don't-
yourself. Oh, is that the 3? Is that
3 of
three
Cups.
cups?
That is it.
Yes, that's a better
Celebration.
card. That's a better card for the end of this. The end of the session.
I think so. Celebrating many wishes and adventures to come true.
Nice.